Greetings, artists. I'm an art instructor at the Pacific Art League in Palo Alto. I've been teaching oil painting and other subjects since 2005. The purpose of this short video is to show you how I lay in and start a painting. So for that purpose, I've selected a subject I've been working on. Over here, I've got a photograph that I took in Nice in France in 2019 in July. It was a very hot day, and this grandma and her little granddaughter had those charming umbrella hats on, trying to stay cool in the heat. And there's a painting underneath it that I'm working on based on the photograph. I've done some cropping and everything. So this is more toward the finished product. I'm going to actually tell you how I started the painting with a fresh canvas. I'll sketch it in. So that's the next lesson. My sketch right now, I'm using pencil on the canvas, drawing directly, and I'm putting the figures in, roughing them in to get the general shapes. And the next step after this, I'm going to use some brown oil paint, some burned umber oil paint thinned down to get a tonal study going. It'll be very loose and free, and I will refine as I keep painting. So this is the next step, and after this I'm going to start using the brown, and then after that some color. So that's it. All right, now I've laid some brown in to indicate the tonality. You can see I've gone over the pencil lines. I'm starting to put in the shadow forms to show form, because shadow creates form on a two-dimensional surface. This is called a grisaille in some circles, and this is not a refined one, but it gives you an idea of how I try to establish the shapes and the shading. Next, after this, I will start adding color. So this is my palette. This is a cadmium red deep. I use Listen Crimson or Rose Madder, yellow ochre. This is a cadmium yellow light. Here's viridian green, permanent green light, ultramarine blue, cerulean blue. Sometimes I use ivory black, off and on. Here's burnt umber and titanium white, and I use odorless mineral spirits or Japan dryer to dry the paint faster. More on that later. Next, I'm going to start putting some color on the painting. See here, I'm laying in some color very broadly. The shadow masses are going in where I see them. No detail yet. I'm using the viridian green and some permanent green light, little burnt umber to get the darker color, some of the yellow and the lighter green for the place where it's lit by the sunlight. For the dress, I'm using the cadmium green deep and some white, making sort of a pinkish color. And for the shading, I'm adding my all-purpose shading color, which is burnt umber. And so as I continue to work, we'll check in with me later and see how I'm doing on it. So I just want to let you see me laying some color in very loosely here, using some dark green. I'm sort of following what I see, just getting the general shapes of the shadow forms, dark and light. Not too much concern about my brush technique, just putting it in. Over here you can see I'm mixing some lighter green. I mix it with this light green and the yellow. That's for the light colors. And I put it in, and then I work over it with the dark. I use brushes to mix. Some people like palette knives. I like a brush. For the flesh tones, what I've started to put in already, I use a little red and some yellow and some white. So it doesn't really matter a whole lot which red, yellow, and white you use. You end up with a peachy color, and that's a good flesh tone. To darken it, I add a little bit of burnt umber. So that's the next step. You can see me working on it. So next I'll paint a little bit more, and I'll catch up with you when I've put some more paint on that. All right, now I'm using smaller brushes, pointed brushes, sometimes called rigger brushes, because I'm trying to paint the edges of things, to develop them, to refine them. and it takes a little bit of control that I can't get with the bigger brushes. So I'm going to go around the edges and refine them, both the negative space in the trees and bushes here and on the flesh of the women in the picture. So this is the next step as I refine it. I might not complete this painting as completed as the one that I am using as a sample. That might take too long, but you can see where I was going with it and how I've refined these shapes and these and the figures and everything in the painting more. So that's where I'm going with this one, just as a demo.